People often confuse this state of unknowing with a state of the mind. So we're going to talk about this state of unknowing as a revelation rather than an achievement, something that you have to work towards, but rather what stays when you finally relax everything into simply being. So part of the confusion is that we feel that knowing is a thing of the mind. The mind is the one that knows, because we equate conceptual knowledge or abstraction that we create with the mind as knowledge. And so the common mistake is that we think, oh, a state of unknowing is that I'm going to say that I don't know anything. Now, that's a good cue for the mind to say, I don't know, because it is taken away the supposed knowledge that it has and the definite description or definition about anything in particular. So the state of unknowing is not a state of the mind. It is what remains when the mind is not trying to do anything. So it is always present because that which knows is you. So you are always knowing things. The mind, or descriptions, which is what I'm referring to as mind here, descriptions and definitions of what it is known, that's different. That's a conceptual understanding or an abstraction of that which is known. So to integrate this in our own experience, let's do this exercise, this investigation into first the nature of you. You are the one that knows. There is nothing extraordinary there. There is nothing exotic about it. You know that you are the one that knows. How you know, you don't understand yet, but you are sure. You're absolutely sure that you are the one that knows whatever it is to be known. It could be thoughts, it could be an experience of the body. All you know is that you are the one that knows. You know experience. Let that sink. Even if the mind is trying to explain or corroborate this by saying, yes, I am the one that knows, and so on, let that be part of the feel of what it is known, not you. You are that experience of being that knows. What is known, notice that is always varying. In other words, if your mind wants to describe this, notice how it is impermanent. It comes and goes. Watch it right now. And yet, that which always remains, which is you, that which is almost like vigilant, expecting the next thought, that is you, and you always remain. There is no lapse in between you and you. There is a continuous you-ness, if you will. Whereas everything else that is known comes and goes. That which knows, always present. Notice that this is what we mean by pure knowing. And it is the same as the state of unknowing. We use that term of unknowing because it is challenging the conceptual abstractions of the mind as a definite knowledge, an objectified aspect of reality. And the way we're challenging it is by exposing it through pure experience of seeing that that objective abstraction of reality never stays. Everything comes and goes. Even the most accurate description, the most sophisticated and eloquent philosophy or model of reality vanishes. It comes as a sort of excitement of thoughts, images, and feelings in the body, and there they go again. That knowledge is lost. You may summon it again, but it's always being lost. I'm not referring to anything extraordinary. It's something that you can check at any moment, right now. Watch everything come and go. At this, the mind may say, I already know that. See what it's doing again? Objectifying the abstraction of reality as a known thing. I already know that. This is nothing new. It's a receptacle of concepts. It's a receptacle of categories. And notice that when it says that, it dumbs down the understanding. That's the attitude of the separate self, who is always saying, I got this already. What's next? What's the next thing? The more we feed this part of ourselves, the more we live through that separate self, which is always dissatisfied, seeking the next experience, seeking the next concept, seeking the next abstraction, thinking that the more it feeds itself, the closer it gets to infinity, the closer it gets to what it really wants, which is to recognize its own limitless being. We don't need to feed any of this. We can recognize it right away by noticing that which remains always after that which is known comes and goes. And it is a state of not knowing, of realizing that I cannot know anything objectively in its absolute form, because all form is impermanent. Again, don't take my words for it. I need you to investigate this in your own experience. You don't have to do any effort for this. It's effortless. It's a state that is always present. It is the foundation of what you are, which is pure knowing. That which is prior to conceptual knowledge. It's why it's referred to as the baby mind or the child's mind that doesn't live through memories, through concepts, through ideas of itself and others. It's innocent. That's why we say that God's mind is innocent. It knows nothing. It takes absolutely no effort to realize this, but it does seem difficult to remain there because we're so used to going back to the mind, to listen to what the mind is saying, to listen to that urge to go to the next thing and the next and the next thought, jumping from one known thing to the other. And again, it seems difficult only because we're so used to it. So this is why the practice of recognizing who you are in the moment and abiding there is always the same practice. There's nothing added to it. There's nothing taken away from it. In all of these suggestions, they're always the same. It's realizing in the moment who you are or what you are out of the whole experience of impermanence, thoughts, feelings, emotions, sensations, perceptions, and that which is permanent, you. Realize that you do not depend on all these moving experiences, all this changing phenomena, but rather all of them depend on you. Your presence is required for all these things to happen. Even conceptual knowledge requires your presence. You always remain. Those simply arise. They excite ourselves in some way as a sort of beaming of conceptual knowledge. And where do they go? They dissolve again into the state of unknowing. So this is not suggesting that you do not trust all the conceptual knowledge that you have, but rather that you don't live by it, that you recognize that which is always present. The mind may say, I already know that. I need more concepts to do this and to do that. It's, again, the attitude of the separate self wanting to get more. Nothing wrong with learning more things and adding more concepts to our mind. That's okay. I'm not saying we should avoid that. Trying to be very specific that what we're trying to avoid is to live by those concepts, to stand by those concepts. Because as we know, they always change. They're never the same. The only thing that remains the same is this state of unknowing. The only thing that we are, because it checks with our experience all the time, is the presence that knows that which is known. And so, by its very nature, it must be unknowable. Meaning, that which I am cannot be known, because it is what knows. That which creates form or gives form to reality cannot itself have any form. It is unknowable. So the state of unknowing is the state of you. And it is accessible. And even the word accessible is a concession here to the mind, but it is present, ready to be recognized at any moment. And it doesn't require a specific skill or some training. It only requires that the attention is brought to where it needs to go, to yourself. So once again, this state of unknowing is another way that we can refer to that which knows, which by itself needs to be unknowable, because it is that which knows everything. And yet it's not something that is foreign to us, that is strange to us. It is the most intimate relationship that we have with ourselves. And so we tend to ignore it in favor of form, phenomena, experience, thinking through the separate self that in the acquisition of more of this knowledge, more of these concepts, we're going to finally reach that state. First of all, it's not a state of the mind, so the mind has nothing to play here. We can get rid of the mind, and yet this state of knowing remains. It is what I always refer to as awareness, self, or being, which is a permanent aspect of our reality. The impermanent aspect is that which comes and goes. Very easy to spot, very easy to see. No complications, nothing advanced, and nothing exotic. It is as ordinary as possible within the field of being or experience. We can sense it, we can investigate it right away. And it's always accessible right now. I hope this video is helpful to bring you back to this natural state, the foundation state of being that we are, which is really what creates the environment for integrating everything that we have excited our minds to seek and move into. It is what gives rest and peace, inner peace, we call it, to that which we have created as a sort of neurotic looking and searching and seeking outside of that which already is. And it is the basis, again, for meditation and for all spiritual work and integration. We can call it meditation if we want, and the disciplined practice of this recognition is what brings about the transformation that the mind is so avidly seeking and looking for. It's actually paradoxical that in the lowering, in the abandoning of this state of seeking is where we find. But that is the nature of this investigation, of this path. Once again, I hope it is helpful. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.